VinnDoggRadio on New Jerusalem 101.
We are praying for people to come to Jesus because...
Hey, what's up? It's Rick Dees in the morning. Don't forget to wake up with me right here. But right now, VinnDogg.
What's up, VinnDogg?
Welcome, my good friend VinnDogg.
Let's bring on VinnDogg.
Don't let the government be your dad.
Captain America here, man. Actually, I'm privileged to be on here with the Captain America for Jesus, baby. This is it.
Yes!
And then we've got none other than VinnDoggRadio. What's going on, man?
Now here he is, a lover of God, people, and country. Captain America himself, VinnDoggRadio.
Wow, good afternoon. It's one day after Sunday, and it is Monday. Oh my goodness. I cannot believe we're back into Monday already, guys. And it felt like it was just like last Tuesday that I was talking to you guys. And thank you all for being here. And please do me a favor, smash the like button on YouTube, share, subscribe. And to my moderators, you have a lot of power at your fingertips that you can do a lot of things. So I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you guys are doing a terrific job. And if you are on X, formerly known as Twitter, please hit the follow switch. If you are on Rumble, yes, on Rumble, please follow me on Rumble right away. And thank you very much for doing that. And if you are on Getter, Gettr, shouts out to Jason Miller, CEO of Getter, for always putting me on the front feed and praying that Rumble does the same thing for me to put me on the main feed so that we can grow the Rumble channel. And we also want to grow the YouTube channel also. And if you feel it led on your heart by the Lord to continue to support the broadcast, that will be excellent, because we are not monetized by any other platforms, and we don't take any sponsorship money because we don't want to be beholden to things that people want us to say and not say. And, I just am so flabbergasted on how media just likes to sugarcoat situations that happen to people, in public and et cetera and so forth. And there's a lot of sugarcoating going on. And I'm going to play you a piece of a news story of what happened to a mom from Colorado. She's a mother of 5, and she was in Nordstrom. But I'll play you this news story, and trust me, it doesn't even tell you, not even 5% or 10%. But here we go. Check this out before we bring in today's guest. All right.
Brand new video showing a Colorado woman taking down a man she says tried to record her in a changing room.
And the post is now going viral, many supporting the Colorado mother for taking matters into her own hands. Fox 31's Greg Nieto speaking with her, all new at 9.
Michelle Chandler had planned to do a little Saturday shopping before a big day on Sunday.
I just thought I'll go find something for Mother's Day.
But when she went to try on something inside a Lakewood department store dressing room,
funny thing, I noticed someone's feet stinks really bad.
She says she found out she wasn't the only one paying attention.
As I went to take these pants off, I bent down and I looked over and I saw men's shoes, socks, and his phone pointing right at me.
The mother of 5 taking matters into her own hands, not once but twice.
Just stop, man.
Yes,
sure
not once but twice. And I'm going to bring her in right now, and she is going to tell it all, because that is just a short story, all right, from the media. That's how the mainstream media works, and that's why there are alternative sources like myself. Michelle Chandler is here. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So start from the beginning, prior to you going to Nordstrom.
Okay. Yeah, and if you want to jump in anytime.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So, it was Saturday, right before Mother's Day, and I frequent Nordstrom and Nordstrom Rack. So I went there and I thought, I'm just going to find something comfortable for Mother's Day. I was going to spend the day with 2 of my kids, and just go to lunch and then go play some Topgolf. So went into the store, had a friend with me, and I I took several different outfits in. I'm someone that likes to take in 30 pieces and walk out with 2. So I go in and I'm in there for a while. And as I approach the fitting room, because I do shop the Rack and Nordstrom department stores frequently, um, I was kind of alerted when I walked up to the fitting room. This particular store, and they are set up differently in other locations.
Hmm.
But this particular store has one entrance.
Right.
It's just a wide open doorway. Um, and a fitting room attendant is usually always there sorting clothes to go back on the floor. And in this situation, you could go left or you can go right. So they have completely separate fitting rooms. Um, and she said, both sides are open. Pick any room with an open door. I was kind of like, okay. But I naturally went left because usually left was women's.
Right.
I did notice afterwards they've removed their specific men and women signs.
Oh boy.
So anyway, I went left. The girl that was with me, I said, let's just go down to the very end, take those 2 doors at the very end. And as I walked down, there was a male standing in that hallway of fitting rooms. But I didn't think anything of it because he was with his wife or girlfriend, and she would open the door and show him an outfit. And, he was just minding his business. I went into the fitting room. I tried on several different outfits. I don't know how long he was filming me. That's to be known. His phone had a search warrant and was in the crime lab for quite a while. I'm just now going to be getting the police report. So I don't know how long he was videoing me. One thing that's not out there is there were some outfits I had tried on, so I didn't have any undergarments on at a certain point. So that is pretty uncomfortable after the fact. But I was trying on stuff and I noticed really smelly feet, like strong.
Bad, right?
I almost said to the girl I was with, like, Asia, is that you? But I thought it's probably someone else. I don't want to be rude. And so I had on a pair of jeans and I bent over to take them off. And I could hear that someone was next to me to my left because Asia was on my right. And I bent down to take the jeans off. I looked over and I saw his shoes. They were off his feet, his filthy socks, and his iPhone was pointed right at me. At that point, I stood up really slowly. I maintained being calm. I thought, oh my gosh, is this really happening? Pulled my jeans up, didn't even zip them, button them. I just kind of held on to them and I slowly and quietly walked out of the fitting room. I went down to the end. At this time, that couple was gone. So it was just myself, my friend, and the guy that was videoing.
The predator.
Yeah, I walked down to the end, to the entrance of the fitting room, and the attendant was there. And I said, there was a man next to me filming me. Go call for help. And she was kind of alarmed, probably shocked, like, and she said, how do you know? Or I was like, I saw his phone pointed right at me. Go call security, go call the police. And she was like, okay. I slowly walked back, got to his fitting room. Asia still didn't know what was going on. She was trying on clothes. I bent down to make sure what I was seeing was correct. And I saw him. He was squatted down. His pants were halfway down. I couldn't say for sure what he was doing.
Mm.
As a young man. And so I grabbed his fitting room door and I said, "What are you doing?" And he didn't say anything. I said, "You're filming me, you expletive."
Mhm.
Asia thought I was talking to her. She's like, "I'm trying on clothes." But then when I said, "You're not going anywhere, the police are coming," I held onto his door because he would have to pull it towards him to open it. So I hung onto it. Asia came out of the room. She's like, "What's going on?" I said, "This guy is filming me. I saw his phone and I called for help." And he immediately apologized. He said, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, ma'am. I'm so sorry." I said, "Well, you're not leaving. The police are on their way." He bent down. Asia said he's trying to go crawl under the next fitting room. And so I looked down and all I did was I stepped over to my left. And as he started to get up, I grabbed the back of his sweatshirt and I put him down on the ground. And I put my knee in his back and I held his head down.
Perfect. Mhm.
So I looked up and I'm looking up down the hallway of the fitting rooms towards the entrance where the attendant is. And she was back, but she was just standing there, probably again in shock and disbelief. And so I had him down on the ground. This is not the photo that is circulating on the internet. This is the very beginning. I have him down by myself. Asia went back in her room to get the phone or I don't know what. I looked up and I told the fitting room attendant, "He's trying to get away. Call the police." She said, I did. We called for security. And then 2 male employees came back. They said, "What's going on?" I said, "He's filming me while I'm in the fitting room." And they said, "How do you know this?" And I said, "Because I saw his phone and he admitted to it. He apologized over and over again." And I said, "He's not getting away." And the 2 male employees said, "Okay, we got this," or something to the effect. And I said, "He's going to run." And they said, "We got him." And so I slowly got up. And as I stood up, he started to get to his knees. And the minute he started getting to his feet, he was making a run for it. The 2 males were hanging on to him, spinning around, bouncing off the fitting room doors. I'm like in disbelief watching, like they can't contain him. He would have gotten away. I feel like I'm not sure when Nordstrom even called the police or security because they took so long to get there. It's my opinion they probably wanted this to go away like a shoplifter. But so the fight was the fight to contain him was, they're spinning around. He's trying to get away. His hoodie's coming off. Another employee, I don't know if it was the fitting room attendant, someone, and he's getting closer to the entrance. And I'm behind them because these guys are like, roughhousing, trying to hold him. And someone says, "There's nothing you guys can do. You can't do anything." And that's when I squeezed myself around, arms are flailing. I squeezed myself around and got in front of him. I said, "Oh, hell no." And they were having a hard time holding him. So I just went for the head, put him in a headlock, held on. And I said, "You're not going anywhere." And we were at the entrance of the fitting room at that point. So he would have gotten away. I held him in a headlock. I leaned against the wall. So my body weight was kind of on him. And then you see in the video, one of the male employees holding his sweatshirt around the corner and one of the male employees trying to get his legs. So then this is what's out there. on social media, the internet. And he's fighting. I said Asia had gotten her phone, was taking pictures, video, and I'm like, where's his phone? Where's his phone? And Asia went to reach for his pocket. He grabbed it because he had one free arm. And he held on to it. Like he did not
Right.
give that up. I don't know what else is on there. Who knows? But because of the position I had him in and his arm, he couldn't get it very far from me. I yanked it out of his hand. I handed it back to Asia. And the two male employees are saying, you just need to settle down. You're not going anywhere. Relax, dude. Relax. There's a ton of people here that
You know what, Michelle? Speaking of that, I think I have like only the 56-second piece of the video, but I'm gonna bring it up and I'm gonna turn it down. You can just walk through.
Just stop, man. Just stop.
Relax. Okay, you're not going anywhere. If you relax, it's gonna be a lot easier for you. Okay, listen.
Okay, so I turned it down because you can pretty much walk us through this.
Yeah. So that's when we're right at the entrance of the fitting room. I had to, if I had not intervened and jumped back in, put him in the headlock, he would have gotten away. And so I'm standing there. They're telling him to relax. I ended up getting his phone from him, gave it to Asia. And I'm looking up right now and I'm sweating and I'm shaking and I'm essentially like in a wall squat position. So my legs were just shaking.
Mm-hmm.
And I look up and I see a male employee or a customer, several customers, women, people just like looking, walking by and then going to the other side to try on clothes. A couple men were just standing there. One guy, and I have it on video, is looking on and he reaches for his phone, pulls his phone out. And I look up and I said, this is what's wrong with this world. This is why men don't belong in fitting rooms. And, looking back, I'm just like, this was not just fighting over a pair of, sneakers or shoplifting. Like,
right.
You see a woman holding a guy in a headlock. My pants were falling off because they weren't zipped. So I'm trying to keep them from falling. And, people just really did nothing. He, after I got his phone, I think he felt like, I'm not getting out of this now. Like, there's no point in running. So he kept saying, can I just sit down? Can I just sit down? And he said, I won't go anywhere. I won't go anywhere. And one of the male employees said, let's just let him sit down. I said, you better not let him go. And they said, we'll hold him and one of us will sit on his feet. And so I kept him in the headlock, turned myself completely around with his head so he could be back against a wall and sit down on the floor. Then I let off. There is a little bit of footage. I don't know if it's out there. There is of one of the male employees holding his arm behind his back while he's sitting on the floor, and then another sitting on his feet. So that is when, I was like, you guys don't let him go. Don't let him go. By now it's been like 20 minutes. No security, no police. And I ran back to change real quick because I wasn't decent.
Right.
So I ran back, pulled on my pants, put on my other jacket, went back out there, and security still hadn't showed up. And I stood kind of blocking so he couldn't, if he did get away or get up, he was going to have to deal with me again. And then some fitting room attendants and management, because there were a male and a female. I have them on video also. Came back and said, "You guys need to remove yourself from the situation." And I said, it was like we all were looking at each other like, "Are you kidding?" She goes, "No, if you two," meaning me and Asia, "if the two of you want to hold him until the police get here, that's up to you. But our employees need to remove themselves from the situation immediately."
Wow.
And one of them was like, wow, yeah. I mean, I can't say what he was thinking, but yeah, it was surprising. And so that's when I said, "Get him on his stomach." And I grabbed his arms behind his back, put him on his stomach, sat on him, and the male employees disappeared. At some point, there was talk of a knife. Thankfully, that didn't surface. But as I sat there on his back, I've been through a lot these last 3 years of my life. And, a lot of healing. I had to dig down deep and heal from childhood. And in that moment of holding him down, a lot of things that I've healed and given over to God, went through just flashing through my thoughts. I was a lot of anger, a lot of resentment, a lot of, "You can't do this to me. You can't get away with this." And I've struggled with a lot of injustice, and really feeling like I've been in a spiritual battle for the past several years too. And I think all of it was just connected to having to dig up my old belief system, lies, forgiving people that I felt shouldn't be off the hook for things. And so all of these angry emotions were coming up. And I told him, "I could beat the crap." I said something else, but I'm like, "I could beat the crap out of you right now." And then I paused. And I said, "This is a sick man. God keep me from being angry. Thy will be done." And I feel like in that moment, it was like a release for me. Like I'm finally in control, fist tight, hanging on to all my stuff, and just going, this is what it means to let go and let God. And so it was healing for me in that moment as I look back. But I was there by myself again. And I looked around and I told Asia, and she's filming still. I said, "There's a belt over there. Go get that, wrap it around his ankles and pull it tight." And I said, "Where's the police?" And they said, "Well, they've been dispatched, but they're on a priority call. We don't know how long it'll be before they get here." And I was like, "Well, I got all day."
Oh, that's just great.
Yeah. Yeah. Finally, the head of security of Belmar Shopping Center shows up. And he walked in. I have this on video, but he walked in and he says, "I'm going to have her release you. You're going to sit against the wall. The police are on their way. Do you understand?" And he said, "You try and run, I will drop you." And he's like, "Okay, I'm not going anywhere." So I let him go. And he sat against the wall. He was asked, "Do you know why you're here?" And he said, "Yes, for filming females in the fitting room." And so there's another admission. So
you probably weren't the only one he was filming, if you think about it.
I know. I mean, I don't know until I get the police report. I've talked to the DA. He has to appear in court next month. But I'm like, I don't know yet what all is on the phone. I've heard you can live stream people and make money. So I don't, it's really unsettling not knowing what's on there. So yeah, so the security guard stood there. I had his wallet, I had his phone. He was asking, I believe, for his knife. He had a
Mm-hmm.
pocket knife. Where is it? That was kind of odd. Um, and then the police showed up and got my information, handed him his phone, handed him his wallet, told them there was talk of a knife, gave them my story of what happened. Asia did go out and approach the two or one of the male employees that had helped and said, "Hey, they're asking for a knife. Did you guys find his knife?" And that employee like threw his hands up and he goes, "I don't know. I have nothing to do with this situation," and walked away.
They probably
So
took him back and made him fear for his job.
yeah. Well, and so that's kind of, looking back on all of it, I think we need to set a precedent for girls and for women to have safety in private places and, really be
We need to set
mindful
a
of,
precedent for men to be men. That's what we need to do.
and well, yeah,
Especially if they
that's
were
what it,
standing there in the store, see the situation that the store employees were told, "Oh, well, you guys can't do that. Get away from it." That's when, besides all that, the other dudes that were in the store should have jumped into the situation.
yeah,
I'm not sorry to say it, but I am so sick of men being cowards. It just
yeah,
makes me sick.
yeah. The female attendants did say when I was holding him in the headlock, she's like, "I cannot believe how calm you are. I cannot believe how you're handling this. You have so much of my respect." Um, and she's like, "Is your husband here, or do you have anyone with you here that can come and help? Because I don't know when the police are going to be here." It's like, no. um, and so, yeah, I feel like they could, it's already politicized, male, female,
All the boogery,
gender
yeah.
inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they have it in their capacity to have fitting rooms that go all the way to the floor with doors that go to the floor. Um, I know their department stores are similar. Um, and if they were going to open it up, this wouldn't have happened had the fitting room partitions gone all the way down to the floor. I actually went into Old Navy the next morning. I had to pick up a t-shirt and I ran in there and they're a perfect example. 8 fitting rooms in the center of the store. It's co-ed in a sense, anybody can use them. But you walk in and it's floor up and the door shuts from the floor up and there's no one, the wall is so high you wouldn't even be able to have someone peek over and take video or anything. So it wouldn't happen there.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, Nordstrom is responsible for allowing this, but then on the other side, they prevented men who were trying to help and do the right thing and call them off the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's
It's a really sad place in the world that I think all of our problems are a breakdown in society of the family, of
mm-hmm.
fathers being present, of men being men, um, and people just being silent for truth and what's right, for fear of being fired or censored or banned from something. Um, it's really sad. But
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure, there's so much more to my story, and I have found my voice on several different platforms that I can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to pour my life into helping women. Um, and yeah, I knew that before this even happened, thinking about writing a book before this happened, and
Mhm.
this is just another chapter. So,
Yeah, exactly. So now, since you're talking about writing this book, when you finish it, you have to come on here first.
okay.
Yeah, you have to come on here first when you finish the book.
Yeah. I feel
So
like,
I'm
this
gonna set
everything
that in
happens for a
cobblestone right
reason.
now.
What's that?
No, I said I'm gonna set it in cobblestone right now.
Okay.
That you, yeah, I have to be the first pit stop when you come out with the book. Um, but no, it just really bothers me that Nordstrom, it's a high end store. You would expect a high end store like Nordstrom to have high end standards. Like, okay, if something goes wrong in our establishment, our employees and security are allowed to troubleshoot that right away, no matter what. No matter what, these idiotic laws are trying to, go upside down against companies and all this other stuff. It's like, hey, we are a private business and we can set our laws the way we want for our employees to react to certain situations. And this is why, these guys or whoever it is can get away with stuff like this because there's no accountability anymore.
Yeah, for sure. Um, it's just, you know, they're letting guards down to be politically correct or whatever their reasons are,
Mm,
and it's hurting us. It's
mhm.
hurting. I
Yeah,
mean, it
political
can happen.
correctness sucks. Political correctness sucks.
Yeah, yeah. So I just think it could have been worse. He could have pulled a knife out. Um, it could have been a 14-year-old girl. He could
Mhm.
have, because no one else was on that end. He could have done who knows what. And so for me, I'm like, where does it stop? When the employees said, There's nothing you need to remove yourself from the situation immediately," I said, and then when I said, "Get him on his stomach," I got all day. I said, "You know what? You guys let people just walk out of here shoplifting.
And we
What's
pay
ne-
for that.
what's?" And I'm like, "What's next?" Like, here I am waiting for the cops to come, violated. Like, what's next? Really? You gonna someone commit murder? Like, where do they draw the line on when it comes to safety and protecting a place where you're undressing? And I don't know.
Mhm. That's why I tell the women in my family, I'm like, hey, look, you really got to be vigilant because we live in a different society. We live in a different world, period. And you really have to be on your guard, unfortunately, because the way things are happening, it's not getting any better. I'll tell you that right now.
No.
And like I told you in the beginning, I believe we're approaching the end of the age because it said things will happen like this. Perilous times will come. And oh boy, we're seeing that right now.
Right.
So
Good
it
is evil and evil is good.
mm-hmm.
And it
Boy.
just makes
And we're the bad people.
yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, that is my end goal. I know there's been purpose in pain and everything I've been through in my life. I feel like all the attention that this is getting, um, that, you know, I just want to be wise and discerning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it sensationalized. I had a couple of big national news shows, not really news, um, want to get me on video, want the footage, offered me money. And I'm like, I don't want it sensationalized. There's a
Because
message there.
that's what they're gonna do with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I can already kind of see just the way a snippet is out there, and a lot of men are saying, this is fake. Did you notice she's in different clothing? Um, this is staged. Um, what a bunch of BS. Men are helping. Look at them in the video. They're the ones holding it. She did not do this herself. I guarantee you, you can't hold a guy that long. And if he really wanted to get away, he could overpower you and knock you. Like, I'm just like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So hopefully, I don't know. I just know Nordstrom has not reached out. I haven't heard anything from him.
Wow.
I get a few emails with my Nordy bucks and sales. They're hiding all the comments related to this on their social media.
Wow, really?
And there's more. I can't say, but they need to be held accountable. And yeah.
And just to think, years ago, I used to buy my Issey Miyake cologne from them. Yeah.
It
I don't
makes
think
me
I'm going to
sad.
step foot in a Nordstrom again, not until they get their act together.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's probably one of my my go-to place. So it's sad, but I can get all the other brands elsewhere. So
Yeah, it's sad that it's come to this, and it's even more awful that these people from the corporate office haven't even came forward and said anything. It's really ridiculous.
yeah.
It's like,
Well, like I said, I think there's other things that I can't speak about. They're we'll see.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? That's why it's up to all of us to stick together and hold their feet to the fire until the result comes out in our favor.
Yeah.
That's most important at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because
And
a lot of people are afraid to hold others' feet to the fire, especially if they're a big company like Nordstrom or any company that lets this happen. We have to start holding their feet to the fire, or they're just going to keep on rolling with the punches.
yeah. And I think, the bigger message in the end is, word needs out. Everyone needs to be extra mindful of their surroundings. It's really sad we have to assume the worst and question people that look suspicious. Or one of my daughters was in the Aurora Theater 9 shooting that happened here several years ago. And
I remember that.
yeah, she was actually in the theater with the gunman. And I would say for our family, ever since that happened, we've really raised our awareness, self-protection, and just the mentality of being aware of your surroundings, looking around in parking lots, not sitting with your back to the door in restaurants, and just observing people and their behaviors. And I think that's probably one thing that kept me calm, was like, okay, how am I going to handle this? So a lot of that, and just being able to stand up for yourself and for what's right and be prepared anytime, anywhere. It's not, when I grew up, we could play outside till it got dark and mom yelled to come home.
I remember those days.
Be down the street and the neighbor wouldn't be afraid to straighten you out if you were acting up, and come straight and tell your mom. And, it was totally
You get it
different.
double.
And it's sad we have to think like this. But yeah, so I think, if it brings awareness to that, you go in a fitting room and they're not all the way to the floor, then take your clothes home and return what doesn't fit. And yeah, I feel like with this happening, everything happens for a reason. I will share my faith. I will share the way God redeemed and changed my life. I will share that our world our country is falling apart at the seams because of, we have fallen away from the foundation we were built on and the biblical principles, and shying away from that, and, a breakdown in the family, and men not being men, and, the way God created everything for us. And,
Yeah.
it's just, you start chipping away at the basic moral foundations and absolute truth, male, female. Here's where we are.
Yeah, it's all gone from here. And
And it is sad. I do believe we're nearing the end, 100%. So all the more, if I can share anything, it's my faith in Jesus Christ. And
oh yes, and that's a part of my mission statement. Any guest can say it more than 22 times during the broadcast.
He's the reason I'm here, by the grace of God, everything that I've been through. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that'll be, anything I do share is going to be to his glory. I don't want to be censored. I don't want things to be cut out.
Nope. And that's why this is 10,000% live. And as you can tell, that's a part of my mission statement, powered by Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for
There's
reaching
no other
out.
way there's no other way to fly as far as I'm concerned.
I know, I'm seeing some of the comments.
Oh.
Yeah. I was like, what are they talking about? A flight.
Yeah, top flight with Jesus.
Top flight. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, the people that I have in this, my small audience. Well, they're a big audience to me, but they really get it. And that's why they're here.
Yeah.
Every week, supporting, and it's exciting. It's exciting to see, because there are lots of places around the country still where churches are just not churches anymore, and they can come here and fellowship with each other in the live chat, and just,
Yeah.
and we put out the truth without worrying about what's going to happen to us or how many friends or family members that are going to cut us off. I'm like, hey, Jesus warned us that's going to happen anyway. That's going to happen.
Right.
But yeah, my whole mission statement is, around Jesus, but it also wants to let men know that they need to start being upright. And I even tell some of my friends, I'm like, hey, if you're not upright as a man, we can't hang out.
We need more of that, and men, to hold men accountable.
Yeah. And they're like, well, I just don't like to get involved. I says, well, we just can't hang out. I said, because I can't hang out with the fellas if fellas are going to be cowards. Well, most of the men I hang out with, they're not cowards anyway. They're, upstanding, God-fearing men, and, they just don't tolerate the nonsense, just like I don't tolerate it. When I see a bunch of boogery going on, I'm like, dude, I don't want to just sit back and let it happen. This is not in my DNA. It's so crazy to me that a lot of people, especially in your situation, to where there were men walking around in the store and then they just pull out their phones and that's it. I'm like, bro, put the phone down and jump in the battle and help.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah. Iron sharpens iron. So I think, what you're doing and hanging out, trying to, that's what needs to happen is discipleship and just being authentic and vulnerable. I think it's so easy for women to create that kind of community. But for men to just really get down to the nitty gritty with one another and hold each other accountable and, challenge each other to become better, stronger men and leaders. It's a sad place. And there's just such a breakdown in fatherhood and men being men these days.
That's the next one.
And that some of them want to be women and swim on the swim team. And
no, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
I
crazy.
enjoy the way God designed me to be tough
Yeah.
and to get out there and do some yard work. Of course, I had to do that this morning. Um, but no, it's true. It's like everything is so vanilla. It's so watered down. It's like, well, we just have to step along just to get along. I'm like, well, I'm not the step along just to get along kind of guy. I like to I like to ruffle feathers a little bit.
Yeah.
That's when I was growing up, I was playing with Tonka toys and GI Joes. I wasn't playing with GI Jane dolls.
Right.
That's just and it's insane to me that people are just. It's like no spine and no stomach for standing up for what's right.
Yeah. Or just truth in general,
Mm-hmm.
and that's men and women.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm
Not
telling my
wanting to
moderator
involve
Peter
or
right
hurt
now.
anyone's feelings.
Yeah, I'm telling my moderator right now, Peter. I'm like, hey, let's get cracking on those go hard in the yard for Jesus gear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Step
that's
it up.
my slogan. Go hard in the yard for Jesus. No ups, no options. No other option.
That's what we need.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So, I really hope that this gets resolved because this is, like when I first heard the story, I'm like, can we say righteous anger a little bit here? I'm like, I'm just getting real sick and tired of the whimpery going on in the world.
Yeah.
I'm really getting tired of it. It just makes me like, ugh. Like, oh man, I'm raising my hands. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it's bad.
you say righteous anger, and that's something I had to really work through with a lot of things that I've been through.
Mm-hmm.
I was given up at birth and found out that my birth mother was raped. So I kind of went through life feeling, I'm a dirty secret. I'm unloved. I'm unprotected.
Mm-hmm.
Go through childhood and,
Well, at least you were born. Thank God for
yeah,
that.
and go through childhood and being violated, and never telling anybody. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's more, no one's protecting me. I got to keep this quiet. And then into adulthood, I've really, because I didn't deal with a lot of those things, I've had a really rough few years. I successfully raised 5 kids into adulthood who are amazing kids that love Jesus and
Mm-hmm.
homeschooled. But the baby is 19. But then I just, I was in a spiritual battle for a few years in my marriage. And it got so dark and a place of such despair and hopelessness. I've known the Lord my entire life. And I got so hopeless that I threw in the towel on my faith. And
Ooh.
last couple of years led me to drinking. Didn't drink out of my convictions raising kids, and that was my conviction. And then let everything, it was a deep, dark place.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have been, I'm working a program, did a lot of healing. God has just showed up every day with little miracles. And that's part of my story that I can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you said something that got me on this topic.
Good.
What did you say?
I said a lot of things, Michelle. I said a lot of
Just
things.
prior to me starting on this.
Oh,
I don't know,
man.
but it for me, it really is a spiritual battle.
Mm-hmm.
And people are broken. And, this young man is sick. I think there needs to be mental health awareness. There's so many things, but what it does come down to is a spiritual root. And if you
Mm-hmm.
don't get to the root, and deal with it with God, we're all hopeless. And so I've had to dig deep and demolish some dysfunctional belief systems that I've carried my entire life about my identity. And God had to heal that. And it came to a place of complete 100% surrender. And the only way I get through it, and I think even through this situation, I always say the biggest battles are the ones we fight alone in our minds. And you can be a prisoner or you can be a gatekeeper. Our minds are powerful. Keep them locked and loaded. And it's what you are feeding on. And for me, that's, taking every thought captive, making it obedient to Christ, tossing out the lies right away, praying, pausing and praying. That's what got me through at the very end of this situation. This is
and I always tell people too, you know what? Dig into the word too.
Yeah.
Dig into the word. The word has so much to offer. There are certain things in the Bible that will just automatically just like jump off the pages at you.
Yeah.
That's how God works.
Yeah.
You read his word from front to back, you will get all of the answers that you need.
Yeah.
All of them. Every single answer.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a home with a family of faith, but I got to tell you, like I think it's been like the last 8-9 years. That's when I really started digging into the word. And I'm like, my goodness, I've been really missing the mark.
Yeah.
And we're always going to miss the mark, but just knowing that we have that opportunity to turn to repentance for ourselves every day. We can repent every single day. And Jesus knew that we were going to have to repent.
Yeah.
Because when we don't seek him and he wants us to seek him, that's when we are trying to control everything in our lives. We're trying to, make sure that, nothing happens. And it's like we are trying to do it. It's like today's society is all about self.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And it can't be that way. It has to be all about him. It has to be all about him. And we have to always completely cast our burdens upon him. And everybody goes, well, I'm just going to try and handle this. I'm like, no, he says to cast your burdens upon me.
Yeah, we're definitely self-will run riot. And that's what happens when, I was at the gas station the other day and this guy, he said at the checkout, he's like, my sweatshirt said spiritual gangster. And he's like, oh, what's that? I'm into spiritual stuff. And I said, it's a yoga brand, but he goes, yeah, I like spirit, the things of, spirituality and I love spirits. And I was like, well, he goes, I believe in all that.
You're like, well, I'm not a new ager here.
And I said, well, I believe in Jesus Christ. And he goes, yeah, he pronounced it Taoism, which is incorrect, I believe. But he's like, yeah, like everybody could kind of be their own God. And, we all, I don't know how he worded it, but I said,
that's that new age belief.
I said, yeah, you know what that sounds like self-will run riot. And I said, civilizations fell on the thought of I am, and there is none like me. I'm thinking of Nebuchadnezzar. And, that's the problem with the world is that everybody does what's right in their own eyes. And he's like, never thought of that.
That's good. You planted a seed. Planting seeds. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And it's, and we just plant the seeds and we let God bear the fruit if it's possible with that individual.
For sure.
So
at an
that's
individual
good.
level, I always say, people say you are what you eat. I'm like, you are what you think. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You've got to get into the word. You've got to pray. It's like, what are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you, it's funny because people don't realize just the power of the influence that, like listening to music. If I get in my car and I crank up Alanis Morissette, that's going to bring up angry feelings and, men and whatever. But
Oh
when you
boy,
feel
that brings
your
up my
mind,
old radio. That brings up my old radio days. No
yeah.
thanks.
And isn't it funny? Like you'll hear a song and you'll remember something.
I'm like, oh God, I used to play that garbage on the radio.
Yeah, but we've got to be filling our minds with truth.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Day
Yeah,
in,
absolutely.
day out.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about. And John 14:6 says, I am the way and the truth and the life. The only way to get to the Father is through me.
Yeah.
So don't believe Oprah Winfrey when she says there's a lot of roads to heaven because she doesn't know where she's headed. It might be hot.
Yeah. I think I commented on something on Turning Point USA or something, but some guy said, Jesus weeps at your intolerance, Michelle Chandler. And I'm like, oh, really? Because he was intolerant. The word intolerant means going against something you believe, someone going against something. I said
Right.
he was pretty intolerant with the Pharisees, and when he rebuked,
Yep.
for
He
going
rebuked.
against what he was teaching, and I don't know. I hate getting into arguments on social media, but
Yeah. It's not worth your energy and time. But I will say this. A lot of people would say that they love Jesus and all this other stuff. And then they have this crazy belief where they're basically, I don't know if they realize it or not, but they're like denying his total deity. And I'm
yeah,
like, what are you doing?
yeah.
What are you doing?
Well, you say you believe in him, but then you've got to believe what he says about himself. He's either a lunatic, liar, or Lord.
Exactly. And we know he's not a lunatic liar.
I know.
Yeah. You've gotten this far, so we already know he's not a liar. He proves himself every second of the day to us.
Yeah. And
Whether it's the way
him.
we want it to turn out or not, he proves himself.
Yep.
So,
and the day is coming where every knee will bow. I think we're just so ripe. These times are so ripe for him to return.
Oh man.
And
oh man. That's gonna be one big finish.
Yeah. And that's, when I think about the big picture, things like this, it's just not surprising. It's just setting us up to be persecuted for the truth and following Christ.
Yeah. You know what? I always I have like prominent Bible teachers on here, and I tell some of them all the time, I'm like, this world is a sewer, like you said on one of the episodes, and he's like, absolutely.
Yeah.
He said, but we still have to be a light in this dark world until God says that's it.
Yeah, one of the things I had been journaling, I'm like, I was in that dark, miry pit. But by the grace of God, he pulled me out. But my job is to go back in and bring out other people that are suffering with alcoholism, people that are suffering with mental health issues, people that have been victimized, people that, are struggling with their identity in Christ, and those lies are just, it is, man, our mind is a battlefield. And
yeah,
if I can help, then there has been so much purpose in my pain, and that's all I want is to, share.
Even if it just touches one person, that's good.
Yeah.
That's what matters. If one person just grabs upon it, it's good.
And then that one person grabs 3 people, and so on. But yeah, we can't be silent when it comes to truth. We can't be silent. And if all of this craziness going on in the world and fighting for locker rooms and sports teams and fitting rooms and whatever it is, people hear about Jesus, then bring it on.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have something here. Let me see if I can find it here, because I always like to put this up on the screen if I can find it. Yes, I can find it. I think I found it. There you go. I believe that is perfect. That is perfect for the Bible.
Yeah. So true.
Mm-hmm. You know, that's what it does. And I always tell people, if the Bible's not transforming you, you're not absorbing the word.
Yeah, that's so true.
You know,
Because
you're
that's the
not
only thing
absorbing
that'll
what God
change
put
your
out
heart.
there for you.
Yeah. I think
So,
my last verse I posted, just in processing through all of this, is out of Micah, to love mercy, seek justice, and walk humbly with your God.
mm-hmm.
And walking humbly with God is just, doing the next right thing, and He'll take care of the rest.
Mm-hmm. We
So,
serve a great, just, and holy God.
yes, we do.
Yeah, we really do. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna end the podcast because I know everybody's getting ready for Zach at 6. Of course I am. It's 6 o'clock on the West Coast, 7 Mountain Time, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern. Wow, for you people on the East Coast, you might have to go to sleep. It's probably past their bedtime already. It's 8 o'clock on their coast. So yeah, Michelle, I just really hope that this all works out, and I just really, really just hope that you just, continue to stay focused on the things of the Lord and don't worry about it, because I know sometimes our flesh will get in the way and we want to do something, but you know what? Sometimes we just got to say, as my mom would say, let God do that. He'll take care of it. Don't worry. Let
Yeah.
God do it.
They're in more trouble with Him than they are with me.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
It's like either you're going to repent now or you're going to be in trouble with Him later.
Yeah.
You know?
I always think that. I'm like, hey, I'll pray for you.
Mm-hmm. Well,
You'll be more you're more in trouble with my father than you are with me. So I'm letting you let go and let God, because you're in more trouble with Him.
Yeah. So what we'll do right now is I'm just going to pray for you. I'll pray us
Thank
out,
you.
and we will finish the show right now. You guys, thank you so much for being here too. Please like, share, and subscribe. Share this podcast with all the friends, neighbors, folks that you know. Even if it's via text message, share it. Even if they disagree with you, share it, because there might be something that pops off at them and gets them to Jesus. And also, Rumble, follow that on Rumble, on Getter, Gettr, Getter, follow right there, VinnDog USA, and on X, formerly known as Twitter. My goodness. Hit the follow switch on that, repost, share. Let's put these things into the troposphere so that we could help others. Because when we help one person, that person, like Michelle said, is going to help 3 other people. So let's do that, because it's like Benjamin Franklin said, either we stand together or we hang separately. And I think standing together is the best way to go. So we should do that. Stand together until the Lord comes. Father, in the name of Jesus, I just thank you for this time. I thank you for just blessing us. And I pray for the brothers and sisters and that will be watching later and that are currently in the chat right now. And I thank you for my terrific moderators. They're just a super blessing to me, Lord. I pray for Michelle and her family, that you just continue to put your hedge of protection upon them, Lord, and that you just, just keep their hearts comforted through these crazy and upside down times that we're in, Lord. And we just pray that this whole situation with Nordstrom gets resolved, Lord. We pray for the young man also, Lord, that you just, hit him in the forehead like you did us, and just make him turn away from what he was doing and turn to you, Lord. Just bring him to his brokenness, because we're all broken people in this world, Lord, and we know that we need you. pray that we continue to surrender everything to you, Lord. And we thank you for the provisions that you provide for podcasts like this to exist. And I just thank you for just always just giving me a platform, because everything that I have belongs to you, Lord. And we love you. We look to you, and we ask you to go before us in your wonderful Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, huh?
I don't have any of those like other platforms or YouTube. I did go on Twitter X last night. So I don't know if you can take my handle, I guess.
Yeah. You can add me on X too.
Okay.
Yeah, add me on X. And,
I don't know how to use it.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you about it off. Yeah, I'll show you how to use it. Okay. All right, guys. I love you guys. Take care of one another, and I will see you tomorrow for the Tuesday rant. And you guys know my Tuesday rants are off the hook. We're gonna have a good time tomorrow. It's gonna be sharing some things in my life, and also we're gonna go over the things that are happening today that we know that the return of Jesus is near. God bless you guys. We love you. Take care.